Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shed. And today we're continuing our Podoween.
Podoween!
You gotta be careful, it sounds too like Padawan. We don't want to be training Jedis here.
No.
That didn't work out well for them. And today we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Hi, Tommy. I'm Matthew Letter. Welcome to Pinehurst. You'll find we're very different from the state institution. We don't have any guards here. Nobody's going to tell you what you can do or what you can't do. Basically, you're your own boss.
I want every inch of this area combed thoroughly. Bring back anything you find. Anything.
Looks like we got us a maniac on the loose, huh, Sheriff?
So Tommy Jarvis is back.
Yeah, not to be confused with Tommy Doyle.
Definitely not. Because, as I mentioned before, for some reason, when these films were being made, all of the slashers, they were like, you know what? All of our characters are going to have the same name. There's going to be Tina's. There's going to be Tommy's. I mean, there's so many characters in any of them. Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, that the first name of the character is the same.
Yeah, you'd think they would go out of their way, but maybe they were like, ooh, it's an homage. Or were they just like, I'm lazy. Just look at, what was that last guy's name in Dream Warriors? Let's take that.
Yeah, it's insanity. So he's back.
Or is he?
Oh, goodness. Well, after you kill Jason Voorhees, you obviously are going to be put into a mental institution. Even though his mom survived, and so did, I'm pretty sure there was a sister involved.
Yeah.
In the previous one. They lived, so it's not like he went through it was a traumatic experience, but it could have been even more traumatizing.
You would think, too, that they would have been around, like after hey, Tommy, you're getting out of the mental institution, we're going to come and visit you. No, they just moved on.
Yeah, they abandoned his ass, and they were like, bye.
And how old was he at the end of part 4? Maybe 10, 11?
Yeah, let's say he was like 10.
And then he's like 18, 19 in this?
Going on 35. So, yeah. Yes.
So he was at least, we'll say he was 20 at least in this. So he's been in the mental institution now for like 10 years. And like I said, no one comes to visit him. No one comes to see him, say hi or any of that. And then okay, so if he was in the mental institution for 10 years, the first movie, the last movie, the final chapter, took place in 84. So this movie would have actually been in the future when it was released. Even though it came out in 1985, it would have had to have been in the 90s already.
94. So everyone should have been wearing flannel and
listening to Nirvana. Oh no, Kurt Cobain would have already been dead by that point. They'd have been very sad about that because it had already been 94.
Okay, well, they could be listening to Pearl Jam. They were like
there you go. They'd
Collective Soul.
And they'd be listening to Collective Soul and Pearl Jam, and everybody would just be talking about this new band called, is it called Nin? I don't know what it is. I just see people with the shirts that say Nin on it.
First of all, how dare you? Nin was around since 1989, but I will forgive you for this.
I'm just saying when it got popular, it was around in that time.
It was popular in the early 90s.
I'm just laughing because I used to have people that would come in the music store and be like, "What? Do you have Nin? My grandson wants the Nin album. He wrote it on here. Nin. PM." They'd abbreviate Pretty Hate Machine because they wouldn't the grandparents know what the hell it was. So then just put Nin, and then the abbreviation to be like, yeah, I think we got that one for you.
Wow. Tommy Jarvis.
Yes.
He has been... Still, he's up to his mask antics. We know that he's really into horror films and horror mask making. So he's been doing that, keeping a little busy in the institution. I don't know how, but he still has this little collection with him. And he gets. We were gonna say something.
I was just thinking too, like, what kind of mental hospital is like, hey, remember that time you were at that remote cabin out in the woods and the masked man broke in after he'd murdered a whole bunch of people and you had to hack him to death with a machete? So we're gonna put you at the halfway house when we release you. That's a cabin out in bumfuck Egypt, just like the one where you killed the guy in and your last traumatic experience was at. Let's put you out there because that seems like a great idea.
And we're gonna allow you to be a mask maker. So
Yeah.
you have access to masks and also to barnyard tools.
And you may still be unhinged and may be wanting to wear a mask and kill people. But it's fine. It's all fine.
It is fine. I actually never thought about that. This is not my forte, this series. I'm okay with the Voorhees story-ish. It's like, none of them are perfect. All the serial killers slashers is what I meant to say, they all have flaws. I would say probably the most consistent one, not to get off topic, would be Freddy Krueger. You can't fuck that up. He goes in a dream, he kills you.
And any inconsistencies
Maybe pull him out.
are just, it was a dream.
Exactly. So it's just like they cover their fucking asses. This one is like he's a mentally challenged boy who drowned, who comes back, who gets resurrected to come back to kill, to revenge his mom's death, and
as
also
a full-grown adult.
As a full-grown adult. So yeah, he grew after he died and then came back a massive. Then he dies again, and now he's like a zombie. He has supernatural powers. There's a lot of things going on. And then the latter Michael Myers, the latter Halloween films also give him like a supernatural element. I guess because by that time, how could you believe that this normal human being, after he's gone and electrocuted, stabbed, I mean, so many terrible things, rammed with like a barricade, hit in the head, so many things have happened to him, but he's still gonna live? No.
See, this is why Friday the 13th had to come up with something, because at the end of the second one, he doesn't actually die or anything. He just jumps through the window after him and it cuts away. The end of the third one, he's like, you think he's dead, but he could have just been knocked unconscious to the point they thought he was dead and carted away to the hospital and all that. The end of the fourth one,
he has Medicare. What kind of insurance does he have?
I'm sure he probably has some kind of like.
He has Humana.
Yeah, he's got Allstate. He's in good hands.
Wow.
And so the fourth one was the only one of the Jasons where they definitively killed him, because he wasn't in the first one, so he only had 2 and 3 to deal with him. So they made it pretty, it was pretty definitive he was dead at the end of 4. So that's why they had to start over with the new beginning. And they really wanted to lead you down the road to let you think it might be Tommy in this one, which is, I got to wonder how they would have handled it if they had gotten Corey Feldman to come back. Because he was willing to come back for this movie, but he just couldn't do it because he was filming Goonies. And let's face it, Goonies, the Steven Spielberg produced movie, is going to be a lot better for your career than the Friday the 13th movie. So I think he made a good call on that one.
Well, he didn't have to travel too far to do his scene in this film, since
he filmed it in his backyard.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was his backyard, which is like, how lush was this fucking backyard, because it looks insane.
Well, I'm sure they added some extra trees and stuff. You can bring a few extra bushes with you.
Oh yeah,
They're
bringing bushes up at the.
They sure are.
Okay, just want to make sure. Speaking about bush, I'll have to. There was a segue there. Speaking about bush, there's not that much bush in this movie, but there are tons of titties.
Yes, you couldn't have an 80s horror movie without tons of titties.
And I don't really know how many. Enough, I guess, for, average slasher film in the 80s. There's enough of it. There are some interesting ones. The most interesting one is what I call the Banaka boobs.
Yes.
Where we have the waitress who's getting ready for her date, who's waiting outside, doing, what you do when you wait outside for your date. You're like, it's the 80s, I'm going to snort some coke. That's what he's doing while he's waiting for her. As I had in my notes, snow flurries up your nose.
Oh, yeah.
She decides she's getting ready, she's doing her hair, and then she's like about to go out, and she's like, you know what? I'm gonna put some Banaka in my mouth. And if you don't know what Banaka is, it's breath spray refresher. And then she proceeds to spray her boobs like it's perfume. But I guess if like you live in the country, no offense for anyone who lives up in the country, but maybe you live up in the country, it's the 80s, you're that kind of girl. You're like, I don't have any cologne, but I have this Banaka.
Well, maybe she's just thinking later he's going to be down there and she would like him to have a good taste in his mouth. She's getting off of work.
That's true. She has grease boobs.
So she's like, let me just make sure that when he might be sampling these later, he comes away with a good experience. Instead of sweaty boob, he'll come away with Banaka boob.
I guess Banaka boob, but hopefully she didn't put any of that stuff way down there because that's going to be a burning sensation.
That she won't like.
And not, the one that she's usually used to. Doo-doom, from having sex with all those, random people that she does waitressing and doing her thing. Because she looks a little loose, Did you see her boyfriend? And he's just a looker, isn't he? He's just...
he's charming.
Yeah, there's... Like I said, that definitely is... Like, that whole scene is just so damn 80s. And yeah, you're right. This movie would have been, like, 1994 if we would have actually waited the 10 years, not the following year. They didn't really explain that at all. They did show you at the beginning, like, the whole scene with the young Tommy Jarvis. And then they show you him, he's like grown up, and you're like, oh, okay, this just happened overnight, and I'm supposed to accept now that all this time hasn't passed and everyone has still looked the same, and it's still... There was no creative judgment on what people would be wearing, or even a mention of what year it is.
Yeah, they didn't necessarily in these. They were just like, we need to get this one out by the next Friday the 13th. I don't care if that's in 2 months. We need a Friday the 13th at least once a year.
And they were like Banaka boobs.
That's all about it.
That's it. How about the freaking another thrown cat?
Yes. There's something about this movie where they're just like, we need a cat on there. Someone get that cat and just throw it onto the set. And I don't mean like the cat looks like it is like, oh, maybe it jumped. No, this cat is flying through the air with like all 4 feet going like, meow, landing on the ground like you have never seen a cat do. Also, strange things that happen in film. Why were there a stack of clean pans on the floor at one point in the film? You remember that? Where else are you going to store them?
I was just like, what is going on? Are they so just like crazed about what's going on that they can't even think about anything else but besides putting the pants on the floor? I guess.
Well, there were a lot of things wrong at that place, though. For like a place where you're going to deal with troubled people released from mental hospitals, like, after Tommy gets there, one of the first things that happens is the guy who's outside with an axe chopping up wood. Always give the mental patients axes, by the way. That never goes wrong. Gets annoyed at one of the other patients, so he just tags him up with an axe right there in the backyard in front of everyone. And then everyone is just kind of like, yeah, well, you got to trust the patients, but sometimes, shit happens. I'm pretty sure that would have been the whole place would have been immediately shut down, and they'd have been sued out of existence.
For real, like, how? What the hell were they thinking? They're like, you know what? This is like, we have to chop wood. Someone has to chop the wood. Let's just give it to, the person that should not be chopping the wood.
Yeah, let's just give it to the guy who has a, tendency towards violence. Let's give it to him. And let's in no way make any effort to keep the annoying guy away from him. Because there's no problem there.
Yeah, Joey, just keep having, Joey persist and annoyingly bother everybody. And then let's have him do that with the guy that has the axe. He's going to be fine at the end. It's going to be okay.
And I get, Tommy's there because he's released from the mental hospital. But what were the other people's problems? Did they ever really say?
No, I don't remember them really going too much in depth with that.
Well, were they mental patients? Were they just troubled teens?
There was probably just a mix of both.
But it seems like either way, not a good plan to give them access to, axes and machetes.
I don't know. Who knows what the hell they were thinking? There were so many. They were just like a band of misfits, all just stuck in this house. What was? I want to know, what did Violet do, which is the new wave chick. You always gotta have one of those in the 80s movie. So she has like the eye strip of like makeup, like what's her face, like Daryl Hannah from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
She has like the
Oh yeah, she did have that look, didn't she?
Yeah, it was very Daryl Hannah-ish. I wonder if they were a fan of the movie and wanted to like pay tribute. Violet, Violet, who was the character in the film, she in real life, she actually won an award for her performance. She won the Dull Machete Award for
Wow.
her performance. Imagine you walk into someone's house, it's like, oh, Joey's mom, whatnot, and then here's like a fucking dull machete hanging, like, what's that? And you're like, oh, I just won that when I was in that movie one time. Yeah, I was just in a movie. It's
and
fine.
She also has, they kind of kept that tradition of, in part 4 you had Crispin Glover giving his crazy dance that everybody talks about. Well, she had her own little crazy dance in this one. It was like the weird robot twist.
It was new wave. It was a new wave dance.
That's also another way of describing a terrible weird dance.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? And I have to say, for anyone that has seen the movie, you will be in a treat, because we'll have a treat for you, because Shad will be doing this dance and we're going to be uploading it for everyone to see.
Oh, I have.
Oh yeah, you are. Wearing the wig and the fucking eyeshadow. The whole bang. We're going to give them a show. It's going to happen. I'm very excited. We kind of practiced it right after we saw the movie.
That's true, we did.
So we got, you got the moves down. I have confidence in you.
All right.
What was your favorite thing about the film?
I don't know. See, it's been a long time. I didn't even really remember a lot of this one. I wasn't even sure I had seen it all the way through. I was sure I'd seen all of them, but I couldn't remember much about this one, because really most of the kills and stuff in it are pretty
lackluster.
Yeah, they're pretty run of the mill. It's like, oh, someone got stabbed. Oh, someone got some garden shears in the face. Which, interesting, that scene where they're out having... I love it when they go out into the woods to have sex and they just pick like the big open area where everyone can see you and just throw the blanket down like, let's get totally naked and have sex here. No way that'll go bad. So the guy goes away and, the killer comes along, gives her the old garden shears in the eyeballs. And that actress, who coincidentally his last name happened to be Voorhees, she actually lost several jobs later on in her life because when she became a teacher. And they apparently don't like it when your students can find nude scenes of you in old movies.
Yeah, fuck, man, and that was like before social media.
Yeah, can you imagine now?
That was like an ancient asshole ripping.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, that would be like someone just walking into your butthole. That's how invasive that would have been.
Yeah.
That was a little graphic, sorry. It's, social media, man. That would have blown up. Like, look how much it affected her life being a very, not, I wasn't going to say secluded, but a very, close.
Not a very big part,
Yeah, not a very big part.
It wasn't like she was a household name.
Circulating all over the world and within seconds. That's like trivia. Like, you would really have to watch the Crystal Lake Memories.
Or you'd have to be someone that was like into horror movies, and you're like, hey, our math teacher has the same name as the guy from the Friday the 13th movies, and someone would be like, hey, I thought I saw an actress with that in one of those movies. And then they go look up the movie, had to drive down to the video store, look at all the movies, and go, oh yeah, that is weird. Let's see what she looks like. Then you're like, oh shit, it is the math teacher.
Oh shit, and then you watch it over and over and over and over again.
Yep. And then you tell everyone you meet about it and you bring that tape to school. That's exactly how that happened.
Oh, heck yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
But yeah, this one was really, I know it did well financially, but it was really kind of lackluster for me. There isn't much, it would have been, I think it would have been a great idea if they could have got Corey Feldman back, where you could have kept the character where you felt like a little more connected to it,
Yeah.
But when you change actors and jump their age forward, you don't really feel as connected to it. And it, like I said, the kills are kind of lackluster. There's a couple of good ones. You know, the flare in the face is good. But, you know, the idea of who the killer actually is just kind of feels like they tossed that in at the last minute. Oh, yeah, it's the ambulance driver because it was his son who got...
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen this by now, you know, it was his son that got chopped up by the axe maniac. So it would have been, you know, that was chopping the wood. So it seems like I wouldn't have gone after everybody else at the place. I would have just went and killed the guy, the director of the place, and said, there, that's what you get for giving this guy an axe.
Why in the world did Demon, who's played by Michael Nunez, played Demon? He's the guy that's dressed like Slick Rick, Reggie's brother.
Yeah.
What did he eat? I want to know. It was the enchiladas? They had enchiladas. It didn't sit well with him, and now he's in the commode.
Yeah, he's in the little like porta potty.
Yeah, porta potty. Let me tell you, that is a fucking terrible way to die.
Yeah, because if you've ever been in one of those, that's like one of the worst smells you can smell in your life is inside the porta potty. I would not want to go out there.
I don't want to go out there. I don't want to fucking die in there. I'm just by going into it, I probably instantaneously die because it's just so. It's literally my worst nightmare come true.
There's a Stephen King short story about a guy who gets. He pisses off his neighbor, and while he's in the porta potty, the neighbor seals the door off where he can't get out. The only way he can get out is to kick the bottom of the toilet thing out and crawl through the bottom part of it and come out the back.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I would have just been there for a few days.
I would have just taken the cyanide pills and just gotten to sleep forever. So another crazy moment in the film is when Demon's girlfriend gets attacked. He actually sees the aftermath of that, and you pointed out that you can actually see the pulse in her neck when she's supposed to be dead.
Yeah, her neck she's got a pretty good pulse going, so she was pretty keyed up during that scene.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think she's dead because she still has a pulse, but I'm gonna pretend that she's dead. Just I'm gonna help you out. I'm just gonna she did. That's it.
And he's one of those actors that when you see the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, that when they talked to him about it, he was like, people talk about this, all the time. He's like, I just wanted to get a part in a movie. I didn't care what it was, and I was just happy to be in the movie, even though I was only in it for a few minutes and got killed off. He's like, it led to other parts. Thank you. It's good to see somebody that's kind of like, hey, I'm not really embarrassed by the horror part. I had a good time with it and I made money.
Yeah, a job is a job. I mean, we learned that from Michael McDonald. We saw him.
Yeah.
He was talking about being in that fucking, what is it, the pomegranate commercial, the juice.
And he's just like, hey, they paid.
Yep. So you got to do what you got to do. I would say, I don't know. I really like the Tommy Jarvis storyline from the previous film. This one, it's okay. It's kind of hard to is it gonna be him, is it him in the next one? We don't know. I'm not gonna give that away. It's so funny because later on, this movie came out in 85. In 88, Halloween 4 came out, and then obviously we have Halloween 5 after. And that storyline with Daniel Harris,
yes,
Jamie, she kind of has, it's kind of similar in the direction they could have gone. So here's Tommy Jarvis, so something very traumatic. You think that he's gonna be the killer.
Yeah, the end of 4 really did where he's got the crazy eyes and they do the close up on him. You're like, oh, he's gonna go crazy.
It's kind of like the whole Daniel Harris thing later on, where she's holding the scissors over the stepmom, and she's wearing the fucking clown outfit, and it's like, oh shit, because she touched Michael.
I really wish that they had in the 5th one had picked up years later, where she's still in the mental hospital and she gets out and starts the killings again. And it's kind of like a thing that's passed through the family, Yeah,
I thought that would have been dope. But those both supernatural elements, and how, when you're young and you see something and you go through something very traumatic, can completely change you. into exactly what you don't want to become, which is the monster itself. That whole like thing, I don't know, it reminded me, I'm like, maybe they liked something in that and then they kind of like took it and did what they wanted with it. They didn't really follow through in the Halloween films with it.
Yeah, and they
per
kind
se.
of like they couldn't follow through on it as well as I think they wanted to on the Friday the 13th either. It would have been a lot creepier if it had been you weren't sure if it was Tommy Jarvis if it was a kid. You know, if they could, because then you'd be thinking, wow, how's this kid pulling this off? You know. But overall, the movies, it's okay. It's just nothing. It's never. Whenever you hear people talk about these movies, Part 5 is never their go-to favorite. You know.
Yeah, I would say for our Halloween, it's I can't say it without saying like that. Um, I like this pick for this 31 days. It's something we hadn't seen in a while. I hadn't seen it in maybe in like 2 years. I know it had been a little longer for you.
Yeah, I had seen parts of it on cable over the years, and then it's one of those ones that as I watched it, I remembered it because I had seen like one time I saw the first part, one time I saw the middle, then the end, you know, on cable. But I don't think I'd ever sat down and actually watch the whole thing all the way through.
It's definitely a cool thing to have in the background if you're having a party during this amazing holiday season. And you know, you also have Tommy Jarvis is kind of like running around a little bit with his own mask. So you know, to see those iconic masks, they're just so great. That's cool to see on the screen too. So you get a little bit to your Halloween, you know, your Halloween love a little bit in the film.
As like a horror fan, it's always good when you see like a kid that's like you in the movie. It's like in Salem's Lot where he's building all the like monsters in his room and has like all the horror posters and that kind of decked out in there, and you're like, oh yeah, this kid, I like him a lot.
Yeah, that's my best friend. That's me.
I want to hang out with this guy.
So thank you so much, guys. If you've seen the movie or you haven't seen the movie, let us know. Did you like the movie? Is this your favorite Friday the 13th?
Yes, someone out there who this is their favorite movie, contact us. Let us know why.
Yeah, we want to know why. I'm indifferent. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, especially out of the Friday the 13th franchise. I would say that's, you know, it's in the middle. It's not high in the worst list for me. But yeah, let us know and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.